Okay, what I want to talk about is the test results from S&B. They tested their filters, the cotton cleaner filters and the dry filters versus the stock OEM. Bottom line up front, their aftermarket cotton cleanable filter, as well as S&B's dry filter, it flows more air, it allows more air to pass through when it's clean. The cotton cleanable and dry filter, they do have a really good efficiency rating, 99 above 99%, which is what you want. However, when these filters get dirty, their flow rate drops. The restriction just skyrockets. The stock OEM paper filter, it flows enough air for your diesel engine. However, the stock filter holds more dirt and maintains a linear line of flow versus the cotton cleanable. Cotton cleanable, as soon as they get dirty, boom, like the restriction is worse than a dry filter, the stock filter. Whereas a stock paper filter maintains a very nice flow rate across the spectrum. And I'm going to show you that here. So this is going to be kind of a long video, but I want to give you the bottom line up front. OEM filter flows better across the line when it's getting dirty. Whereas the cotton cleanable aftermarket filters, that not just S&B, but this goes across the board with Air-Aid, AFE, K&N, and so forth. They flow better when they're clean, but their flow is severely restricted as soon as they get dirty. And I'm going to show you that. So stick with me. I'm going to try to break this down. I'll show you all the graphs. And what I like about S&B is they're very transparent with the test results. Whereas AFE, Air-Aid, so forth, you can't get test results. They don't show you anything. So I really like the way that S&B does this. And this test result kind of, it's going to demonstrate what I'm talking about here in terms of restriction when these aftermarket filters get dirty. So anyways, so let's scroll through this. All right, so as you can see, this is the ISO 5011 test results. This is air intake kit for 2013 and plus, Cummins 6.7 liter. Part numbers, you can see here, 75-5068 and 75-5068D. That means dry. All right. So this is their air filter or intake kit test report. The test data presented in the following report represents the restriction of airflow, efficiency, and dust loading capacity. The filters tested were procured from various distributors or provided by customers. The tests were performed in accordance with ISO 5011. The following were measured in accordance with the test. 1. Pressure drop for clean element, initial efficiency, and dust loading capacity. The flow rate used to conduct the dust loading and capacity tests is listed under the average environmental conditions and test specifications. PTI ISO course test dust was utilized and the particular data sheet for the batch is attached. The test sequence begins with measuring the pressure drop of a clean filter as a function of the airflow rate, which is measured in cubic feet per minute, CFM. Subsequently, the cumulative efficiency and dust loading capacity are measured. The termination point when measuring for capacity is shown at the bottom of the report under the heading Termination, up arrow, P. The results of the tests are recorded in the top table and charts shown on the next page. The filters are inspected before and after the tests are performed. The efficiency represents the amount of dust, contaminates, that was stopped by the filter during each test. The capacity measures the dust holding capability of the filter. During the tests, the filter is loaded with dust until it reaches a terminal pressure drop increase of 10 inches of water, parentheses, 28 inches H2O for heavy-duty vehicles. Across the filter element, please refer to the average environmental conditions and test specifications at the bottom of the next page to verify the pressure drop utilized on this particular test. The maximum inches of H2O that our test equipment can measure is 50.1 inches of H2O. The line graph shows the pressure drop as a function of the airflow rate. For the clean filters, the computer-controlled test equipment initiates the test at close to 0 cubic feet per minute, and then increases the CFM gradually until the CFM termination point is reached. During the test, the restriction of the filter is measured in inches of water, H2O, as it relates to the airflow rate, CFM. Visual inspections of filters are performed to ensure against dust leakage and manufacturing flaws. The bar graph illustrates the cumulative efficiency for the filters tested. Definition of terms and test protocol. Restriction. Restriction measures how difficult it is for the air to get through the filter and is measured in inches of H2O. Instead of referring to restriction, the industry uses airflow to describe the effect of restriction. They say, for example, that a high-performance filter flows better than the OEM paper filter. On a line graph, the lower restriction of a filter, the better the airflow. Efficiency. Efficiency is measured in percentage and is the amount of dirt, contaminants that the filter stops from going into the engine. Capacity. Capacity is the total amount of contaminants, dirt the filter will hold before reaching its termination point. The termination point is a predefined restriction point that is used as the cutoff point when measuring how much dirt a filter will hold. For typical vehicles, 10 inches H2O is used at the termination point. For heavy-duty trucks, the number is 28 inches H2O. Note, testing was conducted based on the ISO 5011 testing standard. However, variances from the actual test procedures may exist. The intent of the testing is to show comparative test results at a specific point in time between various products that are intended for similar use. Tests are conducted under a climate-controlled environment. However, changes in temperature and humidity between tests may occur, which could alter the actual test results. Test results may or may not represent how the product will perform in conditions outside the laboratory. Upon request, SMB will update this data if a competitor improves or makes material changes to its product. The decision to retest a competitor's is completely up to the discretion of S&B filters. All right, hope everyone understood that. Now let's continue going. Here's the first graph I want everyone to see. ISO 5011 test results, S&B filters intake for a 2013 and newer Dodge Cummins 6.7 liter. Now we all know it's Ram Cummins. They dropped Dodge back in 2010, the name at least. Anyways, so test results summary, S&B filters versus stock. So we're right here, okay? We see part number, stock, 75-5068, that is your cleanable filter, that's your cotton cleanable, your oiled filter, and 75-5068 delta, that's your dry filter. So baseline from stock, we don't have anything here. However, the efficiency rating for the stock filter is 99.81%. That's really good. So this percentage of less restrictive improvement in airflow versus stock at rated CFM. So this first column is front air dam inlet closed, the side open. This next column is front ram air inlet open, side closed. that means the fender. So this is your fender, right? Fender well. This is your open air inlet, your front air dam or your air ram inlet. For those of us, 2013 through 2018 models, we got that weird, air ram door thing that opens up if it needs more air. And this column here is both inlets open. So both the fender and the front air dam is open. So with the cotton cleanable, with the front air dam closed and drawing air from the fender, it flows 29.3% more than stock. If the front is open and side closed, it flows 43.8% better. With both inlets open, 54.6%. The efficiency rating for the cotton cleanable filter is 99.55%. That's really good, 99.55%. The dry filter flows 29.9% with the drawing air from the fender, 42.1 drawing air from the front, and then 51.7 with both front and fender open. The dry filter efficiency rating is 99.49. So you can see here the oiled filter actually cleans better than the dry. You can see here temperature-related humidity, baro pressure, I really don't know what that means, test stand, inlet size, housing, contaminant lot number, dust feed rate, flow rated flow, and so forth. So take a look at that. All right, let's go with the baseline. So this is your stock filter. Airflow, you see here 0. So stock system 28.9. Flow rate at 4.6 inches of H2O. You can see, let's go to the top here, 872 at 38.5 inches of H2O. You can see here, it's still stock OEM system. Okay, so this one is for the front air closed. And this is front air side closed, front closed, so this is drawing in from the fender, I think. Anyways, so let's take a look here. This is your cotton cleanable at 579.5 CFM, it says SCFM. Restriction 12.3 inches of H2O, 29.3%. So you can just kind of take a look at these are different positions of the where it's drawing air from. So this one here is front air ram inlet closed, side open, so it's drawing air from the fender. Front open, fender closed, both open, and this is your dry. So this is your cotton cleanable information. This is your dry filter information. So you guys can kind of take a look at this, and I seriously recommend that you go through to the SMP website and download this information. It's really good stuff to read. So I'm sorry, SCFM, your standard cubic feet per minute. Okay, so you can see here that yes, the cotton cleanable and the dry filter, it flows better when clean. Okay, we're gonna go to the next graph here. So the plus is your stock front, inlet closed, side open, that's your drawing air from the fender. This little green O is stock front air ram, inlet open, fender closed. The square is front inlet. This is your SMB, so these are your stock filters, paper filters. This orange square is your SMB filter drawing air from the fender. This is your SMB front inlet open, side closed, and this is the triangle is both. So you can see here that the SMB filters flow better. They have less restriction versus the stock filter, right? Remember, this is when they're clean. So this is your information for the cleanable filter. This is your oiled filter. Let's go to your dry. Same legend here. Your dry filter, you can see here, it has better flow, less restriction, right? Less restriction than the paper filter. All right, supporting test data. So now this is some images of how they test it. So this is your stock air box. This is the little hose with the dirt that's pumped in. This is where it's drawing air from the fender, and this is drawing air from the front. Okay, you can see how and this is your SMB testing. There's your cotton cleanable. There's your dry filter. So I really like this, how they give you these pictures here. Airflow test report. This is test number 383, sample number 47. That means they test these things a lot. Filter description. This is your Mopar filter. This is for 2013, 2014 Cummins 67 OE intake and filter. No sensors. Front closed, which means it's drawing air from the side. Flow 580 SCFM. Temperature you can see here. Barometric pressure. Humidity. Test results. You see here the SCFM, gross tear net. All right, we'll keep going here. More test results of your stock filter here. You see the restriction in H2O and CFM rate down here. And here are your posted numbers. All right, this is with your Cleanable oiled filter. Less restriction, yes, as you go through the CFM, as you can see here, up to almost 900 CFM. But we're getting a base number here at within the 580 range. Going back to your test result 577, 580. We just rounded off 580. So there is more restriction with the paper filter, but again, this is when the filters are clean. So just keep that in mind. Here's another report for your Cleanable. More results. All right, now we're going to get into the dry filter. You see here it does produce less restriction, less H2O restriction at your 580 mark, and even when you're up to close to 900. Another dry test result, test number 23, or sample number 23. Another result for your dry filter. All right, now this is going to be interesting. This is what, in the long run, your paper filter is going to be better in the long run. Okay, I'm not talking when they're clean. When they're clean, yes, the cotton cleanable, your oiled filter, and your performance dry filter will flow better when they're clean. That's the key. When they're clean. All right, so air filter capacity and efficiency test report, test number 383, sample number 48. This is with your Mopar filter. This is your stock filter for 2013 through 14, or newer, 6.7 Cummins, okay? Barometric pressure, 29, I think, inches, H-gram, I don't know what that means. Relative humidity, flow, 580. Test endpoint was at 27.42 inches H2O. Test results. Initial restriction, 17.4 inches H2O. Accumulative capacity, 1,500 grams. Okay, 1,500.84 grams that this filter can hold. That is a lot of dirt. Okay, this is the test result. I want you to look at this carefully. So this right here is your dust. How much dust was fed at grams, okay? We start with 0, working all the way up to 15, it says here when it's 1,400, but overall test results was able to show 1,500 grams. This is how much restriction on this side, restrictions, H2O, right? So you can see here, it's got a linear line going up, right? As the filter begins to fill up with dirt, its restriction isn't very sharp. It's linear. It goes up. Yes, you will lose restriction as it increases as it holds more dirt. Okay, very true. Restriction in H2O, 17.42 times 0 grams 0. As they begin to pump in dirt, okay, this here is time at 17.71 H2 restriction. You get 65.7 grams. Okay, let's bump it up. Let's go to 392.4 grams. So almost 400 grams of dirt. Your net restriction is 18.56, okay, of inches H2O. Let's go all the way up to, look at that, 1,244.2 grams of dirt. Okay, that's a lot. 1,244.2 grams of dust, dirt. of garbage. For the stock OEM filter, its restriction is 23 inches H2O. 23 inches H2O. So yes, from 0 to, over 1,000 grams of dust, yeah, it increased its restriction. It got more restrictive. Very true, right? Let's go to the cotton cleanable. All right, take a look at that for a second, okay? This is your part number KF-1037. This is your cotton cleanable, okay? Initial restriction 12.26, so it's already flowing better, right? It's already flowing better stock when it's clean, okay? But as you can see here through the graph, as it begins to collect dust and dirt, right? It's the ISO 5033 test results, whatever, right? The amount of the fine dust that they're using. Look at this. At 300 grams, the restriction shoots up. Okay, when you get almost to 350, look at that. You're at almost 40 inches H2O. Okay, so let's look at the results here, right? Yeah, when it's clean, it flows better than stock. Remember, the stock was what, 17.42. See that right there, right? 0 grams. But as you begin to increase the amount of dirt that's injected into the filter, it stops at 37.33 inches of H2O with only there's only 333.2 grams of dirt. Okay, 300. So it loses restriction. It's more restrictive when this filter is more restrictive than the stock filter at 333.2 grams. Okay, let's go look at the stock filter. So remember, this is 333 grams. That's the stopping point, right? At that much grams, you're already, you're looking at 37.33 inches H2O. Okay, that's very restrictive in terms of this test. Okay, related to this test. Now let's look at the stock filter, the paper filter. Okay, so your closest one, 323.3 grams, your net restriction is only 18.36. Let's bump that up. Let's go to 392.4 grams of dust. 18.56 inches H2O. That's almost 400 grams. Your net restriction is 18.56. That net restriction is better than the cotton cleanable. At 333 grams of dust collected, you're at 37.33 inches of H2O. So the stock filter at 400 grams, almost 400 grams right here, is already flowing better than the cotton cleanable. So yes, the cotton cleanable, when they're clean, look at that, H2O at 12.26 inches, right? It flows better than the paper filter. But as the cotton cleaner filter begins to collect dust, it loses restriction very quickly. So at 333 grams of dust, your net restriction is now 37.33 inches H2O. Let's go to 300 grams. Oh, as a matter of fact, let's go to 266.9 grams. At 266.9 grams, the net restriction is 17.42 inches H2O. 17.42, right? Now 17.42 is the beginning restrictions for the paper filter at 0 grams. However, right, if you're looking at 266.9 inch 9 grams, the closest we got here is 259.9 grams, and you're at a net restriction of 18.30. So your cotton cleanable is flowing a little bit better, but not much. But when you shoot up to 300 grams of dust, look at that. Your net restriction is 22.08 inches of H2O. 22.8 at 300 grams. Their paper filter at 326.3 grams of dirt and dust and whatever, right? It's at a net restriction of 18.36. So it's already flowing better than the cotton oiled filter. 326 grams of dust. The net restriction is 18.36 inches H2O. Whereas here, when you're at just 300 grams, you're at 22.08 inches H2O. The OEM paper filter flows better, way better, at a higher dust gram collection of dust versus the cotton cleanable. And the cotton cleanable, I'm trying to drive the point home here. At 333 grams of dust collected, right? The net restriction is 37.33 inches H2O. It just skyrocketed. It went from, okay, it's linear, it's still better, flowing pretty good, but then boom, it shoots up, and now it flows worse than your paper filter. Your paper filter let's do it this way. At 590 grams of dust accumulated, your net restriction is 19.15 inches H2O. That means even at almost 600 grams of dust, it outperforms the oiled filter, your performance filter. This is only 333.2 grams of dust, and it now flows 37. It has a net restriction of 37.33 inches H2O. It's way more restrictive at half the amount of grams of dust accumulated. Your stock paper filter in this test result shows at 1,244 grams of dust collected in the filter, its net restriction is 23 inches H2O. That flows much better than your cotton cleanable. Your cotton cleanable, once it reaches 333 grams of dust, its restriction is 37.33 inches. Look at that. Let's see if I can get this in both screens. Yep, look at that. This is this top screen here. This is your paper filter, 1,244 grams of dust in the filter, right? Its restriction is 23 inches of H2O. It outperforms with more dust, way more dust holding capacity than your cotton cleanable. Look at that. Now let's go to the dry filter. Same thing. It skyrockets. As a matter of fact, look at the dry filter. It holds less dirt, less dust. Okay, 165.2 grams of dust collected. Its net restriction is 26.24 inches H2O. People often say they prefer the dry filter over the oiled filter, right? Because they don't want to get oil on the mass sensor. Well, you just don't over oil the filter, plain and simple. But if you buy the dry filter, it'll plug up a lot quicker than your oil filter. And its net restriction at 165 grams of dust nets you a 26.24 inches H2O. 165.2 grams of dust. Well, look at this. At 195.3 grams of dust in your OEM filter, right? This is your stock OEM filter. It flows 17.9. Its restriction is 17.97 inches H2O. Your stock filter outflows the performance dry filter and holds way more dust. Okay. So, anyways, we're going to keep moving on. This is some more testing results here. Let you take a look at that. I'm not going to read through all that. This is your, channel number and all kinds. Lots of information here. So I'll pause here. You can take a look at that. You can pause the video. Take a look at that. Here's your safety data sheets. Okay. Nothing really, nothing that I really want to highlight here. Okay. Safety data. Okay. They provide you all the information, which is good. You want a company that is transparent about the information that they are trying to give you. So, summary. Okay, the summary is this. Look, the aftermarket oiled filters, right? Your cotton cleanable filters, even your dry filters, they do indeed flow better when they're clean. However, as you drive your vehicle and it begins to collect dust and dirt, pollen, and just crud, right? Highway, road crud, all that stuff. Your performance filters are going to be its flow rate will be severely restricted once it begins to accumulate all this dust. And it will not flow as good as your paper filter. Your paper filter will flow better. It will flow better over time and hold way more dirt, dust, and crap than the performance filter. Again, I can't reiterate this. I can't emphasize this enough. Your paper filter flows better at like double the amount of dust holding capacity than your cotton cleanable or your dry performance filters. Okay, it is very true that they flow better, gives you more air. And what I like about S&B is, yes, their efficiency rating is at 99% or higher. Okay, I like that. It will protect your engine from, a lot of crud. However, once the filter begins to accumulate dust and dirt, it's done. Like it does not hold a candle to the paper filter. Sure, with the aftermarket filter, you get more turbo whistle and it sounds better and all that stuff and gives you more air. Yeah, when it's clean. As soon as it gets dirty, now granted, even 333 grams of dust, that's a lot. That is a lot. That's like 3.5 cups of flour, okay? That's a lot. That is a lot of crud. Are you going to accumulate that much crud over 10,000 miles? No, you're not. But the point is that the paper filter will last you a lot longer and hold way more dirt and still outperform. It outperforms, as a matter of fact, their paper stock OEM filter begins to outperform the S&B filter once the S&B filter reaches 300 grams. It begins to outperform. And that's pretty amazing. As a matter of fact, yeah, so that's just good information. Now, look, I do want to install an S&B aftermarket intake on my truck. I do. Let me tell you why. I just like tinkering with my truck. I just like adding stuff to it, making it my own. It just means I got to clean the filter more and more. Now, I don't plan to right now install one. I want to. I don't plan to, though. I still, as you guys saw, I removed my S&B drop-in filter and I reinstalled the paper filter, mainly because I like the ability to hold more dust and dirt over the stock. Over the aftermarket filter. With the aftermarket filter, I have to clean that. If I want to maintain its performance characteristics, I'd have to clean that filter like every 15,000 miles or so, just to make sure I maintain its ability to perform. Whereas the paper filter, I can let it go. Look, 1,200 grams of dust. That's a lot. That is a long span of time. Okay, long span of time. Like you could go, maybe even 50,000 miles, and still the filter will probably still outperform at 50,000 miles versus your aftermarket filter. So, anyways, that's just food for thought. These are just my opinions, but the test results speak for themselves. Okay, it speaks for itself. Stock OEM will outperform a performance filter when dirty. And that's the main point of this video. So do with it what you will. And I hope this helps somebody out.